Hey, what is up, everyone? It's Rich. All right, welcome to Kelsey and Rich Live. Now with more Rich and less Kelsey. Hope everyone's doing good. I'll give everyone a second. Well, I'm late. Dude, you try setting one of these up by yourself. Then you can talk shit. Everybody's a critic until they do something. What is up, Kier? What is up, Christopher? I'm just pulling your chain, Kier. I know you can take it. But yeah, no, I mean it's difficult to set one of these up, and especially when you're flying solo. You know what I mean? It puts a little pressure on me. Brain, why do you always go there with like really corny poop jokes? It would be one thing if they were super funny. You need to up your comedy game. Yeah, this is going to be good. People have been asking for this for a while. So I kind of dragged my feet on it for a few reasons. One, it's so good. You know what I mean? Like you almost don't want to start with like the super high end. Uh, yeah, no problem, Daniel. What's up, Hunter? We've got Brain, Kier, Christopher. This is going to be a good show. I'm hoping that Kelsey surprises me and pops up, but he's been missing in action for 2 weeks solid. So who knows, man? Is Kelsey dead? I hope not. I'm more worried about his mom than Kelsey. I think Kelsey's fine, but I think he takes care of his mom. I don't know what I've never asked if they just live together or if she actually you were gonna sub in for the K man. I was literally last night. I was going through everyone in my mind. I was like going like, would this be a good person? Would this be a good person? It was funny. I don't know Anna, but I was thinking about contacting that Star Wars girl, but I don't know how good her comic knowledge is. You know what I mean? Like I didn't one, she doesn't know me, but yeah, it was funny is I she was at the top of my list, even though I don't know her and I don't know her comic experience. But I think she's funny and she seems to um I don't know, like I think she adds something to streams. You're new here and really enjoy your inks. Awesome, man. Thanks. I've seen your name pop up on some videos. I'm pretty aware of things, honestly. I sometimes come off as a okay, awesome. Brain. I'm reading the comments. Yeah, yeah, this will be interesting. I really wish that Kelsey was here, especially for the year ender. It's not so much that he's missing 2 weeks in a row, but it would have been fun to have him on the stream. But anyway, so let me plug really quick. So Blaster Kid, I think like the third week in January, I'm going to launch it. I mean, that would be the goal. I should be done with the first heavy metal story that I'm working on. I'm doing 2 books at once right now. So to avoid staying in inking, what I did is I opted to not take any work for a while. And as oh cool, thank you, Brent. But yeah, as I moved into uh, sort of like launching Blaster Kid, I had an opportunity to work on a graphic. I mean, I wouldn't really call it a graphic novel. It's 5 issues of a book for heavy metal with a guitarist, a musician that I'm a real big fan of, and it was just too good to pass up. Anyone that knew me, oh no, I'm definitely not Brett Booth. um, I've met Brett once, maybe 2 times. It's funny because we worked at Wildstorm for a long time at the same time. But inking tips, yeah, I mean, you just have to work at it. That's the tip. I mean, honestly, it sounds like a brush off answer, but you're not going to improve at any kind of artistic endeavor without actually sitting down and doing it on a regular basis. So what you'll find is the more that you work at drawing in general, um, you start to see what you're kind of good at and what you're having trouble with, and you're able to study more accurately. People have this fake sense of security of that, well, I'm just going to study and not actually do it, and that's a terrible way to try to learn. There's no easy answer. There is, well, no, there is an easy answer. The easy answer is you have to apply yourself and work at it. But like a brush tip. So, you know, when you take a brush and you're going to work with it, what you want to do is you want to take it on your paper. I'm trying to get this in to rotate my hand and spin it. I have videos on all this stuff. Honestly, I've given some of the best tips. If you look up brush inking, Hunt 102, or Micron, I have really, really good videos already up on YouTube that will get you there. No, but Brain, what I mean is people tell themselves that I'm studying art, I'm looking at comics, I'm looking at Bridgman, I'm you know, I'm watching tutorial videos. If you're not actively doing it on a regular basis, you don't know what to study. You think you're studying, but you have no direction. Like for me right now, I draw probably 8 hours a day. So not crazy hours, but a pretty solid amount of time. But I generally will work 7 days a week. There's things that I know that I don't do well. And so like tonight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on one very specific thing that I think that I should be better at. It's not really anything that's a big deal, but like crouched poses and things, poses where you don't see all of the figure. You know, things are covered up, they're overlapping, things are really truncated because of the like the juxtaposition of them. Those are tough poses to do. They're not tough poses to draw. They're tough poses to make look dynamic and not have like a gimpy leg, you know, or an arm that looks weird. But I'm talking about pretty extreme foreshortening on this. But anyway, but it's just something that I want to be better at, because I find when I draw poses, I still tend to have characters that you know, whatever, just shots that I don't like. I want more out of my drawings. So anyway, I'm doing good. So anyway, all right, let's get to BIOMEGA. I pulled up, so it's Tsutomu Nihei is how I've said it. I actually was aware of his work before he did Snicked at Marvel, but he's got a pretty decent body of work that he's done. But the things that he's most famous for would be Blam, which is looks like blame with an exclamation point. You have Abra. He's currently working on Knights of Sidonia, I believe. There's a comic that he did called Noise that was originally published in something called Afternoon. And then today we're going to look at BIOMEGA. Comic that he did called Noise. I hit play. Yeah, Blam is great. I like them all. I have oh, hold on. Let me mute this and then hit play. Oh, what's funny is I came back. Oh, now I'm not looking out on StreamYard. Let me get back on StreamYard. There we go. Yeah. Oh, let me catch up with the chat really quick. You know, I've heard that he was an architect originally. That's funny that you mentioned that, but I have heard that. So let's see. Yeah, Rich, I'm working on that too. People doubled over and looking menacing. Pretty tough to pull off without proper anatomy. Yeah, what was interesting is it wasn't a very dynamic pose, and I'm not talking shit, but Jim Lee posted something that I saw, I think on Instagram or maybe Twitter, which was a Black Adam piece. And it's a pretty stiff pose. I mean, he's basically holding something up kind of like this over his head, but his legs were his one leg was at an interesting angle. And then Olivier Coipel yesterday posted a shot of Thor, and Thor was really kind of bent over, like super leaning over, and his knee was kind of coming out from underneath his chest. So things like that I find interesting and dynamic. I kind of call them the John Buscema poses. Funny enough, John might not have taken them to the extreme that people did as we move forward, but you know, you'll see Art Adams does a lot of crouching poses. I think crouching poses are very cool. Even though I don't really need to draw any right now, it was just something that I wanted to work on. Cool. So you've been like I see Moxnick says he's been slightly obsessed with Tsutomu's work lately. Yeah, this will be good. I wish it was going to be a conversation. Kelsey's blowing it. He needs to be here for these. This was his vitamins. his weekly vitamins. Let me, I'm going to grab something really quick. I meant to grab these before the video, but anyway, but I thought I would show like the actual books themselves, because I wanted to recommend something if anyone likes this, something that you can pick up. And thank you for all the compliments. Yeah, it's interesting because KFab showed up on YouTube, and I think really took the ball and ran with being sort of like the comic channel, like comic book artists doing thing. So these are the Blam master editions, and like I said, it looks like Blame, but it's supposedly Blam. But you want to get these master editions. I personally think they're bigger, so you have bigger size, and they're also beautiful reproductions of this work. And this stuff is really amazing. It's just stunning work. What's interesting about this stuff too is, so I already have Blaster Kid done when I saw these, but Nihei, I think it's Nihei, and we definitely have a lot of similar influences, not just in art, but I think in general. It's like, it's pretty obvious to me when you find someone that seems to have very similar sense of aesthetics and stuff like that. So also you will want to pick up Abra. This is a hardcover version of it. I picked this up not actually too long ago, probably about a year back. It's great. And so this is the complete deluxe edition. But yeah, I don't just swipe files online for these videos. I do actually buy the books. So it's just easier sometimes to show scans that you find online, you know. But here, another one of the master editions. I still need to get, I think, 2 of the master editions, but I will definitely get them. But yeah, these are just like, stuff is so good. You see Inky Bilal in his work sometime. That's interesting. I'll have to look for that. Inky is an interesting artist. I do like his work. But yeah, and this is the other one I have. So I bought of the master editions. I have 1, 2, and 6. And I don't own BIOMEGA yet, so that is one that I do need to buy. So all right, let's I was gonna share this really quick. Let me see if I'm gonna share my screen and show one thing so we can plug Blaster Kid. I'm trying to be better at let's see if this works. Oh, it's a Chrome tab. Hold on, a Chrome tab. Yeah, this. All right, so let's see. So yeah, Blaster Kid. This is the pre-launch page. I have a link in the description box below, but it's penciled, inked, and written by me, colored by Kelsey Shannon, and I'm really excited to present this story and world to you. It honestly is probably the coolest thing that I've ever done. Says me. But it's really going to be an amazing adventure. The characters are so cool, the world is so fun, and it's just a great adventure action. It's like sci-fi superhero comic. It's just very direct, and I think people are gonna love it. I don't have any of the stuff on my computer right now here to show it. I haven't been scanning the art because it's just it's time consuming, and my scanner my office is fairly tiny. Like the shot that you see of it is like, it's a pretty small room, so my space is limited. So while I'm working on the heavy metal story, I kind of packed up my scanner because I don't need it right now. So yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm gonna try to get Kelsey to color some new pieces as soon as he finishes his Nexus story. So I'm gonna be sending him some new stuff really soon. But all right, so let's get into BIOMEGA and do this. I was gonna do it as a PDF slideshow, but it's looking like we're just gonna have to do it in Photoshop, because unfortunately the files didn't go in order, which sucked. So let me see. I'm gonna Going back to my YouTube channel on my yeah, here we go. Okay, because I'm gonna need to see the chat on my iPad. All right, so let's go into full screen mode, and we're gonna look at some BIOMEGA. This is gonna be badass. I'm gonna grab out my Cintiq, and thank you all for showing up, and let's do this. Yeah, the lights are new. I had the Christmas lights up. I just never would plug them in. But I need to do a new design. All right, so let me see. I need to stop sharing the screen and then share new screen, which is going to be Photoshop. Okay, and I've already got a bunch of the files open. All right, sorry. Let's do this. All right, we're going to share the screen, application window, Photoshop. All right, let's go. Okay, so I'm just waiting for my iPad to catch up. So, all right, let me shut all this. Yeah, when you're used to co-conspirating on this stuff with someone else, Kelsey picks up the dead air for me when I'm fumbling with files and stuff like that. So the balance is quite cool. So this is an interior page. Some of them we'll kind of skip over. This looks like it's a little further into the story. But yeah, let me see what we can do here. I'm going to try to, well, you know what? Let me do this. I'm going to get out of this for 1 sec. I'm going to try to go into the folder. Or, well, let's see. Yeah, I wish that these would have opened freaking in order. So we'll just kind of soak in the art. It's a really it's interesting. A lot of his stories, from what I've noticed in the books, there's very little dialogue. In fact, they can be very quiet, and he doesn't use a ton of pages. I mean a ton of panels in his work. It's actually pretty fascinating. When I saw his work at Marvel, I immediately liked it. It reminded me a lot of art that I looked at in high school. I had a friend that was really good at art, and he was the one that got me kind of back into drawing as a you know, like a 16-year-old. I had kind of stopped drawing around age 11 or 12, and yeah, I met this kid in high school, and he was just a badass artist and was actually into comics, but sort of more edgy stuff. He's the guy that got me into Giger. I always credit him for, but he was a guy like this. Like, he could draw at this level as a teenager. And I was just so impressed by how he drew that I immediately started drawing again. So this is a great shot. It's funny, as I went through this book maybe 6 to 10 months ago, and I just saved pages that I thought were interesting ideas, and this was one of the pages that I saved. I like the kind of fisheye lens, curvilinear perspective that he used on this shot. What I also like about it is how sparse the room is, and there's a simplicity to the objects and stuff in it that I think is really effective. Yeah, you know, it's funny that you said that, Kier, about the black and white art, because as I've been drawing this stuff for heavy metal, I'm so focused on creating black and white art. It sounds weird because you're going, well, you were an inker for a long time. Like, how are you not used to seeing black and white art? The difference is I'm creating black and white images now. I'm not just inking someone else's images and trying to make them, you know, look like nicely inked pages. I'm designing pages now. But when I'm designing them, you design them thinking black and white. You're thinking texture, you're thinking position of things, size relationships, and all that. And so it is funny. It's like I'm rekindling my interest in black and white art to a higher level. It's been quite interesting becoming a full-blown penciler. I did an hour video yesterday for Patreon about it. It was a question and answer, but yeah, you can't really compare penciling to inking, is my personal opinion. They're two completely different tasks. So yeah, God, this is great. Again, no dialogue, 2 panels. You'll see this over and over again in these books. It's really cool. I don't know how it was interesting, because I was thinking about it in the video that we did recently for God, what was it? Oh, the sunken books, that some of the photo backgrounds, like you're not going to see that as much in this. I don't know how that would go over with an American audience, as interesting as that sounds. I mean, I think that there's Americans that like this aesthetic, but it would be interesting as if you did a book with like no talking and 2-panel pages, like what the reaction would be. Clearly people love this guy's stuff, but I understand why. This is really cool. This has got a little bit of like a Kubrick feel to me. It's very isolated. This is part of the intro of the first issue of this book. It's really fantastic. They're walking on this like sand dune planet, or at least to me it looks like a sand dune planet, and they enter this sort of crashed ship that they find. It's very, very fucking cool. I'm looking at the chat real quick. Oh, I'll record stuff while I'm working on Blaster Kid. I mean, in terms of Kim Jong-gi style, it's not really. I don't know exactly what you mean by that, but I think I do. I mean, I'm not trying to get into like parlor tricks with my work. And I'm not denigrating Kim's stuff, but I'm saying it's like it's a bandwagon that's way down the road. You know what I mean? Like it's. I assume you're talking about just drawing like on the fly, like with no layout. I mean, there's no point. I'm trying to do stories and comics, and it's like those are just muscles that if they develop, fine. But I'm not going to sit and try to learn to draw like Kim Jong-gi. The thing is like an artist. I'm a big fan of like Terada. Terada is kind of doing that now, and it's like sometimes I see Terada pieces and they don't look that different than Kim's stuff. I mean, you can see subtle differences, but I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm trying to create my own thing. Not interested in doing someone else's shtick. But Kim's a badass, and so is Terada. But yeah, I mean, it was, look, my first impressions of comic books, and I've said this in many YouTube videos, was I was first initially very, very impressed by, it was Todd McFarlane's Spawn, but I'll explain what I was impressed by. I was impressed by the 3-dimensional qualities that Todd would create in his work with foreshortening and camera shots. And I was very impressed by the color work that was on the early issues of Spawn, because I hadn't looked at comic books in a while. And so that impressed me. But about a week later, as I got more and more into a lot of the comics that were being produced, what I found immediately was that comics were very derivative. There was a lack of originality in not only the content that artists would create, but also the styles that they would use to draw. And it didn't take me long to see that. And it's like, I used to say that for a limitless creative medium like comics, it surprised me that more creative people that got into it weren't more original with their work, because really anything goes in comics. Generally speaking, you don't need to draw like other people. You don't need to like steal movie ideas or book ideas. You can make up whatever you want. It's the fun of comics. So there's my rant on that. This is great. It's so cool. It's always trippy to me when they switch into this like childlike stuff. It's very, very trippy. This upper panel is awesome. There used to be, Stupid New Fire said, I tried to find these books once locally with no luck, but ended up getting Abra by the same artist. Same thing, very little dialogue, very few panels on the page for the most part. Yeah, it's interesting. There used to be, well, there still is. There's a part of town in San Diego where there's tons of like Asian restaurants and bookstores and shops, and we used to have a couple of really, really good like manga bookstores. I'm not sure if they're still up there right now, but I would love to go in and look around. The problem is everything was sealed, and generally speaking, they won't open stuff for you. So unless you know exactly what you're going for, it's difficult to you know, decide what to get. I sometimes would do blind buys. I was pretty lucky with that. That's how I got into the Cannabis Works book. Tanaka. I know people. I've done a video on Cannabis Works. It's a great art book. But yeah, so some very, very cool stuff. It's very creepy. But again, look, we've got a 3-panel page, no dialogue. This stuff works. It works real well. I love the motorcycle sequences that he does in this. Look at this. This is such a great page. Hold on, let me pull out just so you can kind of take in the whole design of it. But look how beautifully designed this page is. I'll zoom in. It's really, really cool. But if you look at Giger's Necronomicon, the hardcover kind of oversized book that they collected of H.R. Giger's work, when Giger was a teenager, he would do these pen and ink drawings called passages. I'm 1000% convinced that Nihei was definitely a big fan of that, which I am also. And so some of my black drawing work, well, my black drawing work is definitely influenced by Giger. There's no two ways about it. But I was trying to do more of the airbrush work, but in pen and ink. Yeah, this is some better shit. Oh, thank you, Jonathan. Have you watched any of the Bochi inking videos since the Bochi video? I did. I did go check out his channel. I'm not as big of a fan of the new work that he's doing compared to his old work. Like the style of the new comic. It's interesting because Nihei is doing the same thing. Knights of Sidonia doesn't really look like this, but yeah, his channel looks great. It's called like Bochi Toon or something like that. But yeah, there was a couple of pieces on there that he did that looked really, really good. See, here's the confusing thing, because I said this in a video yesterday, and I felt like I was sending the wrong message to people, because on Patreon, they asked me, how long do I spend on my pencils for the heavy metal story? And I said that I can generally lay out a page in like 30 minutes to an hour. And then I only spend about 2 to 3 hours penciling it, and then I go into inking it. But really what I mean by inking it, quote unquote, is I'm just drawing the rest of it in ink. So it's not really inking. It's just drawing. I'm just finishing the drawing with ink. So it's confusing because I don't want people to think that I spend 3 hours penciling. It's like the whole process of a page takes maybe 10 to 13 hours for the heavy metal pages, something like that. A few probably took longer, but yeah, but I don't spend forever penciling this stuff because I'm basically just going to ink it anyway, or whatever. It's going to be finished in ink. So you have to do that. But yeah, I think really what you're seeing right now is a transition from people that only ink to artists that are more fully realized. This is great. I love the high contrast on this bottom panel. I really wish that these pages would have opened in order, but unfortunately, like I said, they didn't even save in order. They were all just completely mixed up. Let me see. Oh, yeah, Brain, I will. No, I'm definitely going to do live recording. I said that all along. The Talking Heads debacle, I didn't even get involved in that shit. I don't care. It's like, yeah, there's a whole thing that goes on online. I don't give a fuck about any of it. It's like, just mind your own business and do your work, and you'll be fine. That's ultimately what people want, is they just want comics. Although people do love the drama. I get it. You know what I mean? It's kind of fun to see these things derail. But yeah, I don't know. It's funny. See, and this is interesting. So this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a 6-panel page, and he actually puts dialogue on it. It's funny that he chooses these moments to actually have like talking. Yeah, if you're gonna look, if you're just starting inking, this is what I recommend to people, is for sure work on your drawings at the same time. I really have stressed that for several years to people. If your passion is, hey, I want to be an inker, it's a great fun job, but it's getting more and more challenging to just find inking specific opportunities just at the moment. Who knows which way it's going to evolve, but I would recommend for beginners is learn to draw and ink your drawings, you know, or just do some pencil drawings and don't focus 100% on inking right now. I just think like there's multiple things going on. There's less and less jobs for jobs unless you're going to work like on creator owned books with other creators that you know. But you've got less job opportunities out there right now, and on top of it, you've got digital inking that is full on. You've got pencilers inking their own work, so there's less seats at the table for pure inking jobs now. But that doesn't mean it's going to stay like that. It is a lot of work to pencil and ink your stuff. So these costumes are very, very cool. They almost have a little bit of like a Hellraiser kind of vibe, and then a little bit of almost like chunky drow armor. You can see here it looks like he put this in with white paint, like maybe initially these two outfits were black and then he went in with white, because you can definitely see chunks of the black underneath it. It's a pretty cool effect. Oh, John Paul Leon, man, he's so good. That guy's been so amazing for like 25 years. But yeah, it's a scary way to work. I mean, like if you're working digitally and you're penciling and inking your own work, to me, there's a little bit of a what do you call it, like a net underneath you, because you can always go backwards, you can cut and paste things, or you know what I mean. It will at least save you a little bit of time. But yeah, I just didn't want people to get confused and think that when I refer to inking that I mean just inking. It's drawing with ink. Let me see. Don't pay Nasser. Oh, was there some Knights of Sidonia art in there? Or was it sorry, I'm just catching up with the chat really quick. A big problem that I have is that I don't know how to make characters stand out from the crowd instead of darkening the edges of the sketch. The thing is that comes down to how you place black and white in your pieces. The thing is if you give equal sort of interest, like level of detail and blacks on things, then it's just not going to separate well. It comes down to layout. Again, lots of 2-panel pages. We'll move through a few of these fast because there's so many cool pieces. Like this is interesting. So this probably is the stuff that looks like the Knights of Sidonia art. And I could see how if you were a fan of his real dark stuff, that stuff like this might be a little too whimsical. It's still cool. It's nicely drawn. But yeah, it doesn't have the level of creepy. There's some great scenes with the motorcycle in this that I hope we get to soon. But this is fun stuff to look at. And this was the other thing that I was going to say is these pieces were opening. In my personal opinion, although this guy draws very, very well, when I think if you show this art to someone interested in learning to draw, this doesn't look impossible to do. It's very, very cool. There's definitely some pages that look very complex, but generally speaking, there is like a fun quality to the work that I see, and it looks somewhat casual at times. That's important, because I think sometimes we will look at art and it's done so well and it's so accurately drawn and everything looks just like, excuse me, like it's so perfect that can kind of derail, I think, someone trying to learn to draw. But this stuff just looks kind of fun, and like a guy that can draw well, but isn't murdering himself on every page to get this stuff done. This final panel is great. It's very cinematic. But yeah, it was funny is I was trying to think of some motivational ideas for people out there, because I really can empathize with people that get frustrated with drawing and learning to draw. And it concerns me because I want you all to be able to follow your dreams of drawing. And so the one thing that I would say is really try to surround yourself with things that get you excited to draw. If you find something that you like kind of deflates you, then maybe avoid it for the time being. It sounds like weird advice, but my point being is, like, if you go online and you're kind of looking to sort of distract yourself because you're frustrated on a drawing, and the stuff that you're looking at isn't getting you excited to draw more, then you kind of need to seek out other things that you're dividing your time with. I really do think that that's important, because the problem today that we have, this is such a beautiful piece, is we have so many options. And so what's interesting is, I think a lot of you guys know, I was having a lot of trouble with my Instagram account and it kept locking me out. I think what was going on is I would download Instagram pages on my computer, and I think that Instagram thought I was trying to hack my own account. It's a Google Chrome app. It's not like any sort of sketchy thing I'm doing. But yeah, when I would get back on my phone, it would always lock me out. And so I thought I was literally going to have to scrap my Instagram account. So I started a new one, but I only follow like 25 people on the new one. I haven't posted any art. I was just getting ready to set it up. And I love going to that Instagram account because it's so simple. It's so straight ahead. It's only art that I absolutely love and inspire me. And when I go there, I really feel a different sense of myself and my focus. And the second I go to my other Instagram, like my main one, it's just like chaos. It's chaos in my brain. It's a bunch of stuff that annoys me. Some stuff inspires me. Some of it is distracting. And I just was like, wow, it's really interesting. But I think that that could happen to someone else not as far along. This is such a great page. Not as far along as me. And it could really cause some serious problems where you're looking at the wrong stuff. So consider that idea of only look at things that are going to get you excited to draw. This is another example, though, of a page that looks somewhat casual and kind of fun, you know? I like it. I love it, in fact. I don't have a Discord. I did sign up to it, or I have it, but I have not used it to any extent. I was too busy to start, you know, another social media platform. Was kind of, I considered Twitch for a little bit. We'll see. You were trying to hack my account, Kier. Did you get in? If you do, just only post inappropriate things. Hey, what's up, Black Sand? Hey, yeah, okay. Yeah, it is. It's really, really great looking work. I love this bottom panel. Man, it feels like something right out of like a very good like cartoon or something. It's so kick-ass. I'll zoom in a little bit. It feels huge on my computer screen, but I know because of the inset way that the StreamYard shows this, that actually the big scan is kind of even funner to look at. I wish these were a little more high res, but it is what it is. The way that he lights these costumes is really, really great. The light catching the top planes of the costumes is very, very cool. Okay, so we'll skip some of these. This is pretty cool. And this has a little bit of the Snikt vibe. I want to say I think that this was one of the first ones that he did. I don't know. Is Abra before this? Yeah, the bottom panel was great. What's the order of Abra, BIOMEGA, and Blam? I'm assuming Blam was the third. Twitch can burn. So Twitch is no good. Oh yeah, there was issues with Twitch, right? I kind of remember that like a year or so ago. I like when you see, this is going to sound sort of bad, but I like when you see older comic book artists and they like contemplate TikTok. It's like, You don't need to do TikTok. I know you're trying to get your stuff out there and you don't understand social media, but TikTok's not for you. Who knows? Maybe it is. How many of you have TikToks? I was smart, man. I put all my eggs in the YouTube basket 4 years ago. I said, screw Instagram, screw Facebook, and I came to YouTube. And I really feel that that was a good move on my part. My YouTube following is bigger than my Instagram following. I'm kind of proud of that. This is a great panel, man. This bottom panel is awesome. Yeah, this is a very, very cool page. Look at this shot right here, man. I love, he does a lot of staircases. I always think that that's fun to see in his work. This is really great. It's got like a nice kind of curve, like a curved perspective on this. I guess it's 3-point perspective, but it's, yeah, he kind of bent it a little bit. But again, nothing is fussy. If we get high-res scans of this and you look at his line work, you would see it's actually quite crude, but it's just very well drawn, you know. But it's scratchy. Oh, this is cool, man. Look at the action on this. So cool. I love too this the, I don't know, what do you call it, like sound effects. Oh my god, that's great, incorporated into the art like that. It just looks so cool. And he probably used a photo for this, honestly, you know. And then just put his bad guys on it. It works. But maybe not, you know, who knows. Feels like Ghost in the Shell. Yeah. You do not have TikTok, Tari? Yeah, my channel has grown a lot in 2 years. It was a slow burn. You know, it's funny because I had a friend, he won't watch this video. I don't think he really follows my channel that way, but he was all pumped up to do YouTube, and he was like, I'm gonna bring it, and da 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 da, and he already tapped out. He gave up. I was like, come on, dude. Can't do all this chest pounding and then not dig in and stick to it. YouTube is a slow burn. I tell people this all the time. Hold on, we got a super chat. Let me finish my point really fast. Your audience is non-transferable. I told this to Eric Canete when he went on YouTube. I said, look, Eric, here's the deal. You could have 160,000 people that follow you on Instagram. The idea that you're going to be able to bring those people over to YouTube it doesn't work. People that are on Instagram don't migrate to your YouTube channel. 160,000 people turn into like 1,600 YouTube subs. You have to build YouTube on YouTube. It's just the way it goes. So, you know, I tell people this. It's the truth. So let's get to the super chat real quick. Hey, Rich, just wanted to say Happy New Year and thanks for getting me inspired. This is from Matt Sherman. Gonna hit you up for another lesson soon. I've been slacking. Looking forward to all the content you've got coming this year. Well, thanks. I really do appreciate it. I'm trying to get better at the ideas for YouTube. I feel like just doing book reviews and stuff like that is a little one note. And I think with Blaster Kid, we can have an opportunity to really have fun with it. I watched like Dan Fraga when he was doing Fragtober. That was really, really fun. And something that I looked forward to every single night was that they all got together and they just drew. And it was exciting. It was fun to see. You could laugh and sort of unwind from the day. And I think stuff like that is really fun. What I tell people is with these crowd-funded books, part of what you're doing is you're creating memories for people. You're creating a moment in time that is something that we all participate in, and it's fun and it's exciting. And at the end of it, you have a memento, which is you have a very cool comic book or whatever tier you bought to remember that time by. But people that just send out a crowd-funded book into the world with like no fanfare and just, it's like, hey, I've got a crowd-funded book. It's on Kickstarter. It's on Indiegogo. That's boring, man. People want memories. They want to mix it up and have some fun, right? Who's with me? Oh, yeah, no problem, Tari. There's a Soundgarden song called Tari, and I assume that maybe your name was pronounced that way. I'm decent with name pronunciation, but I've had my embarrassing moments. I'll be putting up an Indiegogo soon. Any support would help, comic lovers. Yeah, yeah. It's called Archangels. All right, yeah. Well, that was another thing too, is there was such a beautiful sense of community on the stuff. I got real busy. There was a lot of people trying to promote books at the same time, and unfortunately, I just had a work cycle that I was getting thrown into. I had to design everything for the heavy metal book, so it was very difficult to start from just a script with nothing drawn at all for that. When I was already working on Blaster Kid, it was like I had to really switch gears. This is interesting. Look at the font that they chose for this word balloon. It's very kind of fancy and almost like looks like it should be on like a box of chocolates or something like your grandma would use. Don't you? That's a weird choice of font. A delightful meeting, but couldn't you have chosen a place where we are less likely to be disturbed? But yeah, that is a weird font. It's like a fancy Times Roman. Hangouts are the fun part. Yeah, no, totally. That's the thing. It's a whole. Oh, this is so great. Yeah, it should be fun. I'm gonna pull out so that you can kind of soak this in. Finally, we got the bear on some of these pages. The bear has been MIA. I know Kier was excited about the bear. He told me so. I can't wait for Blaster Kid. I'm definitely going to back it. Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, man, creating an experience for the fans is what it's all about. Exactly. Dude, we're making memories right now. History. When I got into comics, the image revolution was already going on, but it was so fun. It was so exciting. There was an energy from those books that you got that just, it's just the truth. Dark Horse didn't have it. The Legend books didn't have it, meaning the stuff that, and I loved Hellboy and Jeff Darrow and Arthur Adams. These guys are all great. But Image had this sort of like excitement to it. Didn't mean that all the books were great, but there was a passion that you could feel in it. And I think that that's what the creator-owned books have now, is there's a uniqueness. There's the growing pains of it in a weird way is exciting to see. It's like a scene. I always felt that way. I'm telling you, I used to say this, that my goal on YouTube was to build up a following, a grassroots following, and I called it the club days. Me grinding on YouTube the first 2 years, where you would literally, you were so aware of how many subs you had. Like you'd have, 163 people subscribe to your channel, and you'd like upload a new video and 3 people would unsubscribe, and you're like, oh God, what did I do? Like, I am never going to build this thing up. But it's kind of like playing a club. You play a club, everyone's ignoring you. You've got 6 of your friends show up at the show, and you build it up. And the goal is to eventually play Wembley, right? Like that's what the goal is you want to play Madison Square Garden. You want to play the Forum in LA. You want to play the O2 Arena in Europe. You want to do Pink Pop or whatever it said, like the Pink Pop Festival in Europe. That's what we're working towards. Right now, I'm opening theaters. This is cool. He does some pretty interesting abstract stuff in these pieces. Like it gets a little designing arty, but this could be some of his architecture background coming through. That's a total possibility. What's this about, and what is this amazing level of images we're seeing right now? I know, maybe someone the Fraga mail-in stream did feel like a pay-per-view fight. I was excited for that thing for a week leading into it. Not even kidding. Oh, Budokan. Okay, yeah, we got to get to Budokan. Yeah, so people that know this book better could probably give you, oh, here's the bear. Nice. Get it on, or get on. The bear's going to go for a ride. He's like, what? I can't do that. I'm a bear. Yeah, this stuff should be fun. Oh, it's really cool. I always love when they do these color pieces. So I don't know for a fact that he painted it himself, but I would assume that he did. Okay, so let's, oh yes, this is interesting. So you can see the style fluctuates a little bit here. Man, this is like Walking Dead shit. Like the head just got completely blown off of this character. It's like her Her arm is missing, so she's got the cyborg thing going on. Oh man, her leg is completely mangled. But yeah, the guy shoots her and blows her head off. You know, I was thinking about revisiting today as I wanted to watch some of the early episodes of Walking Dead, like the first couple of seasons. I thought that might be interesting, or at least season one. Some crazy shit. It's a nice shot. The end of 8. You felt that Fraga should have won. Malin was cocky. He had a theory on how to win. He stacked the cards. It was more like a wrestling match than a like a UFC fight, or maybe that's what you meant. Okay, the bear is funny. Excuse me, sorry about that. I don't like the cough in the thing. Okay, we're gonna go a little faster, but we're still gonna look at a lot of art. I just want to, at worst case scenario, oh yeah, like stuff like this. Look at this. This is so cool. Wanted to get to what I consider sort of the money shot pages, because there's definitely you know, multiple styles kind of going on. This is beautiful stuff. In the these Blam is it, can I see it? In these Blam books, the master editions, you can really see the detail better and how he approaches these effects. So if you're interested in sort of understanding and learning some of the techniques that are used in this book, I would highly recommend the master editions of those, because you can see more clearly what's going on. This BIOMEGA version that you'll find online, you know, like on a Read Comics type site, they're a little too low res to be able to tell what exactly is up. This is nice. This is like the old school digital coloring. It's funny. This was done a while ago. You can tell. This is very like early 2000s kind of coloring. Okay, I'm going to catch up with the chat really fast. Have you seen Shinichi Sakamoto's manga? There's a mini documentary on his work called Shinichi Sakamoto Mangaka, Innocent the Climber Tokoto. I have seen that documentary, actually. He uses Photoshop, checkout, blame, and so on. Okay, so he's drawing these in Photoshop now, Black Sand? I have, the guy that draws the climber is great. I've seen that documentary a few times, actually. It's not real long, but it's actually very interesting. He's the guy that jogs, right? He likes to run to stay healthy. This is cool. Oh, just the color. Oh, I see. The bear is cute. Are you okay? Hey, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. But I mean, here again, this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like, this is a nicely drawn face, but this hand isn't like out of this world in terms of, like, you look at how Adam Hughes draws hands in his comics, then you look at this. I mean, there's some pretty humble illustrations going on here, which again should encourage people to know. I tell people this all the time. Look, a good comic is good ideas. It's not necessarily some virtuosic level of ability to draw. It's picking cool shots and being able to sort of get your point across. You don't need to be phenomenal to be a really interesting comic book artist. This is great. Man, that upper panel is really cool too. Isn't that a great shot? He really did a nice job on the cracks on this pavement. It looks really cool. Hand speak. What did Gabriel say? Why did you retract your message? He said, "You suck, Rich. I hate you. 2021 is going to be even worse for you." No. 2020 was not bad. COVID was a little scary at first, but past that, I actually think that I was able to forge through the year quite efficiently. Was funny. Do you guys remember when I was doing like 3 videos a day to keep everyone comfy? I'm sure some of you guys saw that, but yeah, I was uploading, I think 3 videos a day at one point. I would do 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and then 1 in the early evening, just because I love you all. This is great. Look at that. Isn't that a fun shot? Let's make it big. I genuinely do care about all of you. It's not just lip service. It's like, you guys are the YouTube fam. This is interesting. Some of this almost looks a little bit like photos, but I don't know. He did it in such a nice way. It could just be the I think the screen tone. He probably drew this though, honestly, and just the screen tones make it really give it like almost like a level of believability. I've noticed it's interesting because I've been drawing some stuff. Oh, hold on. Oh, thank you, Black Sand. I really appreciate it. Yeah, let me get to your thing in one thing. The Bochin video made your day. Good. It was funny is I really wanted to get into more manga videos, and I told Kelsey, I said, look, let's just do a couple of months where we sort of focus on this and really kind of explore, because I think it'll be fun and something like a little bit different. But yeah, no, it's my pleasure. And look, everybody is recommending great things to me, so I'm trying to check it all out. And then sometimes I drag my feet on certain topics because of my lack of familiarity to it, honestly. You know what I mean? I don't want to embarrass myself or disrespect a artist or their work, with a like completely lame video. I mean, I think I already kind of push it a little bit with my lack of depth on some of these videos, so I try to be a little bit respectful to the work. But okay, so Black Sand said, hey Rich, do you have a PO box? I'd like to send you some stuff. Yeah, I don't have a PO box, but the people at UPS would be more than willing to hold this stuff for me, so I'll get that to you. Thanks, Richard friend. Single tear rolls down cheek. Oh yeah, no problem. I did check out Bochi's YouTube channel. It's very, very cool. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up with chat. The digital Comic-Con was killer, not even actual con websites to compare. Oh, thanks. Dude, I was on fire that day. I cursed so much. It was a little cringy to watch back, but I was really pumped up. But yeah, that's one of my more awkward YouTube moments, was the Frazetta. I think I did it on Saturday. I might have had a little too much coffee. Speaking of that, here, soak in this page. I'm going to take a sip of coffee real quick. We'll go for a little while longer and have fun. Yeah, I was shot out of a cannon that day. It's funny because my mom sometimes checks out my YouTube channel. She could be watching now. Mom, if you're watching, hi. I hope you guys are doing well. But it would be funny if she was in the chat. Frazetta is Rich's Coke. It might have been. I was out of my head that day. Holy cow. That was like, oh, I'm tempted. I've been tempted to take it down. I haven't really thought about it in a while, to be honest, but do like an edit or something where I take out all the F-bombs. I was pumped. Guys, don't swear in front of Rich's mom. It's all right. She knows sometimes I get a little sailorish. She can tell when that's my passion. I was talking about something in comics and I started cursing a lot. Oh, it was deadlines, what I used to have to deal with, and I started dropping a bunch of F-bombs. I think she likes the spice. Generally speaking, I don't curse around my mom. Once in a while, she'll curse around me. She's actually said a couple of bad words when we're on the phone. I was like, yeah. I was bringing out the animal in her. Frazetta has that effect on people. Yeah, well, Frank is Frank was a man's man. He didn't mess around. He liked to drink and smoke and women, and it was like, it's interesting because we're going to have Sarah Frazetta on. This month got a little too busy, so we're going to probably do it in January if she's available. But I do sometimes wonder, like, what Frank's personality, how that would have translated to a 2020 sensibility, where people are far more, like you're under the microscope on like what you draw and what you do. What's funny is I guess Adam Hughes got some shit, not a lot. It sounded like it was just a few posts, but people were upset about his Lara Croft kissing Santa drawing. I mean, I don't know where, like, what's going on. Samurai Jack is a good example of that animation. Hold me catch up with the chat real quick. Your son is a legendary inker, Mrs. Rich's mom. Soon to be legendary penciler and writer. Inking, that's the old Rich. Yeah. Oh, that was absurd. Yeah, I didn't see the post. You know what, though? Honestly, here's the deal. Because sometimes that stuff gets attention when it doesn't warrant it. I'm talking about the Adam Hughes Tomb Raider Santa thing. Look, if 7 people are talking shit about it and you go and you look at those 7 people and they literally have like 13 followers, who gives a fuck? Like, seriously, like they're no one. And it's not like everybody has value. I'm not saying that. You're not judged on your amount of followers online. Like, that doesn't make you a better person. But you know what I mean? It's like, I look at it like this. Like, if someone's got some skin in the game and they want to critique my work, that's fine. Someone that writes comics goes, Rich is a shitty writer, I'll respect their opinion, you know? I mean, I may not agree with it, but it's like, you know, this run and gun bullshit is like, whatever. This is great. It's funny because it looks like she's in a bear costume. She's got like a little bear tail, a bear nubbin right there. But this is really, really cool. Yeah, what's funny is people got kind of lucky this year because there was really no comic book conventions. But I was curious with the way that people behave online to put all those different personalities in a comic book convention scenario. I was kind of curious of what it would actually bring about. It's like, it's a weird thing. Okay, let's get to the money shots. This is nice. It says a little bit of like a Tomo feel, like this bottom panel. Toughness, yeah. You have 13 followers, Kier? You'll build it up. That's another thing that I really do actually want to try to help people with, because it's an endless frustration for me, is seeing people working very, very hard on their art, and they're not getting momentum online with their work. It's perplexing to me, and it sucks. I don't like to see it. So it's one of those things on Patreon. We've talked about it, and I'm always observing and trying to figure out ideas for people, because the one person that I used, it was sort of, he's always my my example, is I had met a guy at a, I think, Long Beach Comic Con. He's a real good artist, you know. He's real talented. I sat by him for a whole weekend and watched him do commissions, and he, at that point, I mean, he could draw way better than I could. I mean, he could, you know, he could take any sort of commission request and, you know, do a pretty nice piece. He just can't seem to get any traction online, and he's always drawing the hot characters, and, you know, seems to follow the trends, and his style is, you know, should be like a, you know, right where, you know, it's like vanilla ice cream, you know, like he's not doing anything offensive or anything too out of the box. That could be the problem. But yeah, you know, and he just doesn't seem to get a following. I've seen him online for years now, and it's just, man, nothing is going on. It sucks. But, you know, he might benefit from doing YouTube. The thing is he's put all of his eggs in Instagram and Facebook, and it's like, maybe that's not where you need to be building your audience, you know. I don't know. There's decades worth of art in this comic. Yeah, you get warnings about the rules are from anyone when you put Blaster Kid on Indiegogo. Did I get, you mean like from fans, like concerned fans? I've had 1 or 2 pop up in the comment sections of my videos. I'm, like I said, I don't play cancel culture games, and so you know, as far as I'm concerned, they're barking up the wrong tree. It's like, That's their fight. They can do whatever they want. I'm here to make comics and sell comic books, and I've already shown for years online how I treat people. So, you know, I've always been completely available to the most extent online. I generally go where the fans are, you know. I've said it in a bazillion videos, but I never really would go to the places that all the pros would hang out, and I preferred to sort of go join fan groups and just kind of hang there. Pros are weird. You've seen it. You've really seen it over the last couple of years. Now you know why I avoided it. This is great. Well, this is fun. This will be a good one for me to watch back, because it's when you're narrating these videos and you're kind of looking at the art, you don't really get to soak it in to the same extent as you do kind of watching it. This is a great little shot. I like this little effect over his head, how it's in perspective. I don't know what oh, it's black and white. I was gonna try to, but like I like the perspective that this thing is at. Like nice ellipse. And again, these beautiful sound effects in the art, I think it really creates a nice design to the page. This is great too. I'm the man. Thanks. I'm just, look, it's, I came from a music background, and there was a pecking order. I remember when I was just a scrub sitting in a club watching bands play, and you had these guys with like fancy hair and guitars and girlfriends and all this stuff, and we were like probably 17 or 18 years old. I remember saying to my friend, I'm like, we're going to start a band and we're going to blow all these fools away. And within a year we did it. So it's just like, I'm very competitive, you know. I don't fuck around. But I'm a beginning penciler right now. I have to be humble. I'm not that good, you know, honestly. So it's just going to take work. It's going to take me a few years to figure out how to draw well. And then hopefully I do some kick-ass comics. Oh, this is that page again. It's funny. So it must have been a bumper, but you can actually see it better here. But yeah, this is really cool. I love the window. I didn't actually notice that before, but the window right here is really, really clever. Look at how warped that is. He literally pulled this over. I wonder if he did it in Photoshop. That's interesting, because it literally looks like he took like the warp tool and just grabbed this piece of the art and then pulled it over. But I mean, I think it's a traditional drawing, but maybe the layout was set up that way. Man, that's really cool. But you see the curve on this? Man, that's neat. In a funny way, this area over here looks a little bit like Bill Sienkiewicz when he pencils and inks himself. It's got that scribbly kind of look, and everything has like a little bit of like a whimsical sort of feel to it. Yeah, it's interesting. Oh, this is great. Look at that. Man, that is cool. It's funny, when I initially saw it, I thought this was at a side view, but it's actually a motorcycle coming towards us. But man, that's great. But you know, this isn't, it's like, well, I was gonna say it's not super detailed. These are fairly simple. These upper panels, like this character's face, this little kid's face, is very, very simple. There's almost no detail. The hair is completely black. Very effective for moving us through these top three panels. And this is kind of an interesting shot of this sort of insect cybernetic thing that's building. But man, then he just goes freaking bananas on that bottom panel. And again, you've got these great sound effects in the art. I want to use that. I like that look. It's pretty fun. I don't know, like, if you had a colored finished book that was lettered, though, I don't know if it would stand out as that it was part of the art. You know what I mean? Like, if there was word balloons and color on this, if it would be as noticeable that it's part of the art. It is interesting. I mean, again, how many pages have we seen with no dialogue at all? This is the finished book. This isn't like, we're not just looking through unfinished art files. This is how it published. I mean, granted, it's a person riding a motorcycle with like a creepy monster following it, but yeah, it's interesting. Searching for the key to save a world past hope. That's Blaster Kid, except it's not a key. It's a character. She's the key. I'm telling you, this guy, we're on the same page. Me and Nihei. We'd probably be friends, or we would hate each other if we met each other. Just kidding. Air balloons, yeah. I'd love to do some more sound effects, but I don't think it would. Yeah, right. I agree. Wow, nice flow. There's a Canadian in the chat. Is it someone from Rush? Narcissists. Yeah. Who's the Canadian? Is it Bailander? Hey everyone, the waifu that saves the Zawurda. Oh, right. I get it. Sorry. I skipped ahead when I did it. Who's the Canadian? I want to know. Ryan Stegman does it beautifully and still noticeable when colored. Okay, cool. He's great. A really good artist. I didn't really know his work that well until probably the last year. I had people asking for me to do a video on it, and I did a couple for Patreon. I don't know if they're regular YouTube videos, but I did a really, really long one on Ryan's work. It's great. Oh man, this is cool. Look at that. That's creepy. Oh man, this is so cool. Oh yeah, I love this page. This is awesome. There's another one too. Well, actually, this might be it. This is a motorcycle riding on this right here. Like right here, it's a bike riding on this little road that goes along the side of this huge thing. But check this out. Isn't this beautiful? I'm trying to make it a little bigger. What a fun, cool drawing. I guess these are like roads. So this is a road. This is a road. It's really neat. But man, I love stuff like this. So epic. This little shadowy area really makes it nice. The beautiful black areas. It's really good. Dun dun dun. Creepy monsters. Man, I wish. Well, it's funny. This actually reminds me a little bit of other stuff that I've seen. I wish that I would have seen this when it originally came out. Like it would have been fun to oh, that's what it was. So there was an artist that I used to follow online when I first got like my first decent home computer and like internet access in the it was probably in 2000. His name was Locke. I've talked about him before in a few other videos. He did a book called Shadow Gear, and then also did a book for Dreamwave later called Echo. He's really good. He kind of doesn't do manga stuff anymore, but I used to follow him online when he had only done Shadow Gear, so Dreamwave hadn't discovered him yet. He was really good. He was one of my favorite artists that I found online at that time. It's Locke, Locke, and not Vince Locke. But he's on ArtStation, is like I think his normal name now, but he doesn't really post much of the Shadow Gear stuff. But I'd highly recommend, if you're a fan of this type of stuff, check out Shadow Gear. I think it was by Antarctic Press, maybe. That's good stuff. But yeah, I remember finding him online and just being like, wow, an American that does like manga this good. It was so badass. This is great. Is this gray ink wash? I think it's, yeah, it's, I was gonna say screen tones or Zipatone. The moire comes from the printing, yeah. Man, Dreamwave is a name I haven't heard in ages. Pat Lee is kind of bubbling back up. I don't know. He might be coming back to do some comics. I think it's screen tones. I don't think that this is ink wash. It looks a little bit like it when you see this. He definitely uses splatter on these and some pretty rough brushes and tools. But I'm nearly sure, based on, again, these Blam phone books, that it's screen tones. So these are what you want to pick up to really see the technique. Or the Abra hardcover. You can just see, you can see the work much better. The Abra is the complete deluxe edition you're going to want to get. And then these master edition Blams are awesome. There's 6 of these, and there's 1 of the Abra. Highly recommended. They're not super expensive either. This is cool. This has kind of got like a little bit of a Mobius feel, just the sense of space. From Viz. Okay, thank you. Drew, do you have the Shadow Gear comics? I'd be curious if anyone owns them. He used to post a lot of sketches online. He was a real weird guy. I definitely got a sense that he was very out there at this point. But yeah. Yeah, I know it does look like wash at times. I kind of was wondering that too. But yeah, when you can see it clear, this is great. Man, this is really cool. Let's soak in this page just as is first. Man, this first panel is incredible. Look at this. Oh, this is what I was going to say too. So I had mentioned before that there was a shot similar to this, funny enough, and I said that it was in the motorcycles too, where I said that he may have used reference and he may have not. And I wanted to share an experience that I had. I've been having it more and more recently, and it is very, very interesting. As you get better at drawing, you will sometimes draw stuff that looks so realistic, and I'm not talking about photorealistic, but like it's drawn so well that it will even surprise you. But I did a couple of silhouettes yesterday, and when I first laid them out, like the idea was good, but when I first tried to draw them, they didn't really look that good. So I went like, all right, just chill out, like figure out the structure of what you're drawing, and then try it again. And I don't use any reference when I draw. I don't use any at all. And the second pass that I did on them, honestly, the silhouettes, they look literally like I did it from like a photo. It's crazy, but it's just you get to the point where your eye can see the shapes that good. And again, I'm not trying to build up expectations on this heavy metal story. Like I said, it's going to look like someone drawing their first comic book, but you'll have little moments where you draw stuff and just the way that you light it, the exterior lines and stuff like that starts to fall into place. It's a very, very interesting experience. But then you draw other stuff and it looks stiff and not cool, and something looks wonky or kind of generic, and so it just gets better and better. But yeah, so sometimes like there would be times where I would look at other people's art and go, oh, they had to have used reference for that. Believe it or not, I mean, there's points where you just get that good at drawing where it will look that good and you're just pulling it out of the thin air. It's pretty exciting. So, but mine was just a silhouette, but it did look good. This is great. Man, it would be interesting to see this stuff colored. I know it's a little sacrilegious to say, but a shot like this, I'd be curious of what it would look like in color. He creates these very apocalyptic worlds. They're always like worlds that feel, I mean, I guess now everyone calls it dystopian, but yeah, these, you can't tell kind of sometimes if you're like underground or in like some part of the earth or if you're in space. It's very interesting, the sense of where are you, like this stuff, it's just you're in these huge cavernous sort of passages, again going back to the kind of the Giger thing where it's like, are these tunnels that run parallel to like a city? I don't know. Yeah, yeah, it just, yeah, right. Cash Grab is passable, lol. I thought some of the art, I mean, I think the art on Cash Grab looks pretty good, honestly. The stuff that I've seen, it looked good to me. This is super creepy. It's got like a Thing vibe. But what's funny is like this is a pretty good drawing, but then like this drawing with the guy with his helmet on, if you really look at the eyes, they're very like, they're crooked and they're a little too far apart, and there's not enough room for the head on the sides. Like, well, like the rest of the cranium wouldn't even really fit there. So, you know, each drawing is its own little challenge. But I think that that is part of the fun. I said this in the Patreon video yesterday, is when you're the artist experiencing it and you're going through the growing pains of good drawings and drawings that aren't so good, believe it or not, it's actually kind of interesting for people to look at that art. You know, we all want it to be perfect as the artist, and it's embarrassing to us when things don't go our way on every drawing. But the reality is like how many artists are you fans of that you really enjoy some of their early work, maybe even more than when they got better, just because it's fun to look at, like oh man, look at how goofy that face is. That's like kind of like there's an interesting entertainment value to it. So as the artist, it sucks. You're like, ah, shit, they're gonna see that I can't draw this hand holding this thing right. It just looks like mush. 183 pages, man, he flies. I recently watched a video about Inuo's evolution drawing Vagabond. Really good stuff. Right. Stuff like that is interesting. And he got way better, right? Like Vagabond started out pretty humble, and then by the end of it, he was like a badass. That's what Kelsey said for me with the heavy metal job, was it's 150 pages. But again, I'll have 2 issues of Blaster Kid out before I'm done with it. Yeah, he said, boy, he goes, by the time you finish those 150 pages, he's like, you're going to be so much better. And I was like, yeah, it will be fun, you know. It's exciting. It's hard, you know. It is. Every day, man. It's getting easier, but at first it was brutal. Because every day I was drawing stuff that I had never drawn before, you know, literally like where it would be like, you know, I would be asked to draw something that like I never practiced. But what ends up happening is you develop the toolbox to be able to problem solve anything. So just because you haven't drawn a specific thing, you've drawn stuff that's similar enough that you can kind of work it out. But still, I think familiarity with things, you know, the more that you draw those off, you know, things that you're not used to, you will get better at those too. This is great. So this right here looks to me like he probably blacked all this in and then went in with white and did the effects. So what I'm talking about with that is like he drew the leg probably like this, and this is actually a really smart move. In fact, what he's doing, you just put in like a leg really quick, and I'm just suggesting like you know, maybe like there's some sort of pad on the knee, and then he's got like a pleated pocket, and maybe this other leg is out here. But I'm going to show you why this is a good way to light something. So we'll say that like this foot would be up on like some sort of thing, like a ridge right here. Okay, so you see this other leg, and do you see, look at like how realistic that silhouette looks. I knocked that thing out. I wasn't even hardly paying attention. Okay, but what he's doing now is when he lights the pants, he's going in, and I'm using a pencil tool in Photoshop, so this is going to be kind of wacky, but actually let me grab a brush so at least it's a little more smooth. I don't know what brush am I on. But I can tell that this is the way that he's lighting this stuff. I'll use this one. Okay, let me go back into full screen. Oh, okay, yeah. So and then the way that he lights this stuff is he's going in and drawing it like this. And the reason that I can tell that he's doing it is that you can just see that the detail that he's putting in on the boot and stuff like that is it's a second pass over it, and it's an effective way to light this stuff. It's a little scary though, because you're basically going to be drawing in white paint, and you have to be able to see the highlights that you're doing. So granted, he's got screen tone over it, but essentially what he's doing is he's just pretending like what would catch light on this, you know, maybe a little bit of this, and there's a little bit of the strap catches it, you know what I mean? And so you put it in like that, and then you throw screen tones over it. He's not using a round brush though, just to be clear, but hopefully that helps and explains kind of what I'm seeing here. All right. Okay, let's get back to the art. But I've noticed that on a few things, because you remember when I talked about these right here, these, it was funny, it was the aprons, but I was saying there was a shot of 4 characters standing front view, and I could tell that the aprons were put in with white paint. So he's definitely drawing with white paint. And I remember seeing a better scan of some of this stuff, or one of the different books that I have, and being able to tell that that's what he had done. Dale was so good on early pit. Yeah, he was great. Joe Quesada really was a very, very good penciler. He's still a great artist, but I prefer to see Joe just draw, and I feel like that he uses a lot of computer embellishments on his stuff now, and I prefer just seeing traditional art from him. I mean, he could do it digitally, but I feel like that maybe there's some sort of I don't know what you would call it, like layering of things that aren't hand drawn into the work. It just depends. I mean, it's like he's still great. I mean, you can definitely tell that Quesada he's a very, very good artist for sure. Oh, this is awesome. He's just creating images in a different way now than what I would like to see him do. The thing is if he drew more simple, he could actually draw books, but he likes a high level of detail. He always kind of has. The first work I saw from Quesada was Sword of Azrael and then Ninjak. They're both really, really good. Really good. And he did, what was it, The Ray? Wasn't that like his first comic? Keown's Werewolf and Pit was so cool. I love to see Dale Keown's version of Werewolf by Night. Yeah, Keown's great, man. He's so good. It's a shame that he doesn't produce more work. X Factor way back. Oh, right. Yeah, he did X Factor. You're right. You're right. Those are cool too. Joe had a very stylish look to his work. He's always been a little kind of avant-garde with his design sense. I don't say that often. Joe earned that moniker though. He was pretty designy, always with his work. This is great. Ooh, man, that's nice. Dude, those sparks are so good. Look at that. Man, that is awesome. Wow, that is really neat. Kelsey missed out, man. Finch has some good videos on perspective. Yeah, Finch's channel is great. In fact, let me plug really quick. One, I'll plug Kelsey, even though Kelsey hasn't been here in 2 weeks, but I have the link to Kelsey's channel already in the chat. Shame on you, Kelsey. I know you're going to watch this. Kelsey, come back. And then David Finch's channel. I'll put a link to David's channel. I just did an interview with David recently. He interviewed me for his channel. I was the first interview of artists, believe it or not. That's how much David thinks of what I'm attempting. He respects me. Isn't that nice? I do appreciate it though. That was very flattering. And then Eric Canete. So yeah, you want to check out both of their channels. And then like, you know, Ryan Wynn is on YouTube. Ryan's got a YouTube channel. Of course, Dan Fraga. We love Dan. Everyone. I mean, I had said to Kelsey that I wanted to make sure that we start promoting other people's channel more, you know, because I really do understand how hard it is to build things up. A few of my patrons have channels too. So I'll get a list from them and start putting links to everyone. This is very cool. Choo choo. Hey, look, he's wearing a mask. Was COVID going on when this book was done? No. This is cool. I like this. I truly appreciate your help. Thank you, Bear. This is kind of Star Wars. It's like Princess Leia. I'm tripping on this train. I'm assuming this is where it starts. Like this is the end of the track. Because it doesn't look like it keeps going this way. Okay, what time is it? 11:43. We'll go like 10 more minutes. Meredith is an acquired taste. Yeah, I mean, look, anytime you share a channel with someone, it's just the way that it goes. There's different personalities. It was funny is, like I said, I was really trying to think of someone to possibly collaborate today because I had a hunch that Kelsey was going to be MIA. And it's not so easy because some people are really good on their channels, and you know what I mean. It's like I knew what I was going to be looking at, and so not only did I need to find someone who would be able to talk about this work, but that you can also have sort of a dialogue with. It's tricky, you know. Chemistry. It's like it's a real thing. This is great, man. What a great page. This is so interesting. Isn't that a great design? Like, look at, like, he literally blacked out the whole sky and just had this great shot of the motorcycle right here. That is fantastic. And then the big head actually looks very, very cool. And again, no dialogue, you know. In an American comic, you'd be like, it's like, you know what I mean? We'd have all this other stuff on the page. It's like, no, sometimes silence is good. Walden Wong, maybe, since he's in it as well. Yeah, Walden's great. Off topic, Rich, do you have any Chinese comic books that you're into? I have a couple of really, really great Chinese comic books that I picked up years ago. I can't read them, and I don't know who the artist is, but I will show them in an upcoming video just for you. So this is how I got those, was in the Asian bookstore part of town. There was one place that rented books, or like a library. It wasn't a library though, it was a store, but you could actually rent manga. And I happened to grab these books that were Chinese. I didn't know at the time. And they were so freaking good. And I went back and I just basically asked the lady, I said, could I buy these? And she sold them to me. But they're phenomenal. They're ridiculously good. It's almost too much. They're so rendered, and the cross hatching is so insane. It's probably the most detailed art that I own in a comic. I'm not even kidding. It's nuts. It's weird that that stuff isn't more known. It looks like do you remember there was a book by Claudio Castellini, his Silver Surfer issue? Imagine that, but more detailed. Storm Riders, that's the book. I'm nearly sure that that's the book. It's because I tracked it down. But there's particular issues of Storm Riders that are really good. Like it's a long run, but I'd love to get in here and talk about stuff, but that would be a disaster. Would it be a disaster? What's funny is I always save the guests. KFAB came hard with guests right out of the gate. My goal was to build the channel up to a certain level and then do guests. So I still have that ace in the hole. That's what I said to Canete. Is I said, they've played all their cards. I still have many cards to play. Their Gerard Way interview, that was a coup. He's huge. Gerard Way, whether you like his comic books or not, he's a very, very popular young man. He's got the My Chemical Romance army behind him. I've met Gerard. Gerard's a very, very nice guy, and he is actually very talented and creative. So I'm happy for his success. Now we just need to get more rock stars. Look at this. This is so good. This has got, like, man, Nick Manabat vibes. Wow, damn, I'm going to have to get this book. Claudio Castellini is great. I held on to those Silver Surfers. Yeah, keep doing great stuff. Kelsey has great videos. Yeah, Kelsey's awesome. That's why I told Kelsey, I said to him literally like a week ago, I said, my channel is your channel. I invited Kelsey on my channel to expose the people that I had gathered here to him as an artist and as a creator, and yeah, you know, that's how much I think of Kelsey. Now you feel bad, don't you, Kelsey? You're watching this and you're like, oh man, I'm letting Rich down. No guilt, friend. Just come back. We just want you back home. The children miss you. Oh yeah, this is cool. Boom, 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 boom. That's pretty cool. Are they shooting? What is that? Damn, this is a great page. Hold on, let's soak this in. All right, so this guy's flying down the hallway, but he really turned the shot. If you look on my computer won't let me switch it. But this is great. Like he's literally like riding on the side rail of the wall right here. It looks to me like he's actually hugging the side. But then this is great. So in the middle panel, these things start to light up on them, and they're either, it's a little hard for me to tell. It looks like he's shooting towards these, maybe at whatever is on the wall. But then this is awesome. Look at that shit. And again, the very, very cool sound effects flying through the panel. It's great. Oh, yeah. Kids in the background are no good. Oh, Nick Manabat's great. He's an early influence on me for sure. I was like the Deathblow Cybernary flip book. That's like a grail comic in my opinion. I just think that the style that Jim was doing Deathblow in was very, very cool. And then Nick's stuff was just, man, that was a winner right there. Oh, look at that. So this is Isle of the Dead. This is definitely a reference to Isle of the Dead. Isle of the Dead is a painting by shit. Am I gonna fucking blow it? Not know. It's I know the name. Come on, Rich. You got this. Anyway, Giger did a hold on, someone will say on the thing. Come on, who did Isle of the Dead? Tell me. So anyway, but Giger did a version of it that he sort of Gigered up, and then this is obviously Nihei's homage to it. Fuck. It's Bocklin. Yeah, not Brooklyn, but it's Bocklin. Thank you. Yeah. Bocklin is a fine artist. Probably 1800s he was working, but yeah, it's a Bocklin piece. So anyway, but Giger did an homage to it, and then obviously Nihei did. Now I'm feeling like I need to throw this in Blaster Kid. Should I do it? I could do it. I could do it. Don't make me do it. So cool. You love this guy? I love this guy too, Mr. Vaporize. So does Mr. Vaporize, is that a reference to like a gun that vaporizes you, or weed? I guess that it's probably like a more sci-fi reference. Yeah, Bocklin. Yeah, Bocklin's badass. Beksinski. Yeah, Beksinski is great too. I did a video I thought recently on Beksinski. Maybe I didn't post it. Sometimes I do record videos and don't upload them. I think you know what? I think that I recorded 2 Beksinski videos and didn't upload them, but I do have one on my channel already. Yeah, occasionally I'll record a video and I finish it and it just doesn't feel like the time to upload it, and I just follow my instincts and then I won't do it. I did a Metal Gear Solid, Art of Metal Gear Solid video like a week or 2 ago. I haven't posted it yet. Someday I might, but I need to watch it back is what I was saying. Let's see. Blam, Noise, Biomega, Abra, Knights of Sidonia. Oh, is that the and so on? And some books look very unique and stuff. Yeah, it's great. Oh, it's the name of your superhero. Okay. Nice. Here's some color stuff. Yeah, again, this is like very early 2000s, like digital coloring. And you know what's funny is, if you really think about it, the coloring, not necessarily the drawings on this, look a little bit like Ben Templesmith, a little bit like what Ashley Wood was doing at this time. Kind of like like when IDW first started, you would see stuff like this. It's a little bit of a riff of like Kent Williams, like the traditional work that Kent Williams did. Art of Metal Gear Solid would be cool. Yeah, it was cool. It was interesting. This is nice. Okay, so what time? 11:52. Okay, we're gonna go for 5 more minutes and then we'll wrap it up. This was a lot of files I opened. My Photoshop, it wouldn't open anymore. I literally opened as many files as it could. This is nice. Again, this gives me the top panel has a little tiniest bit of almost like an Atomo flavor and a little bit like Terada, but old Terada, early Terada. Terada would get these gritty, kind of fun lines on his stuff. This is nice, like this rim. Yeah, this was cool. This is interesting. I don't know how this is going to impact my work right now. Meaning that like generally speaking, when I'm done with one of these videos, some of the images kind of get burned into like my mind. But the stuff that I'm working on right now is so different. It's like I don't know, I don't see a direct connection, not with Blaster Kid, but with the heavy metal story. I'm in a very different part of the story where oh, the color page was creepy. Yeah, it was kind of creepy, right? So look, this is interesting. So part of the story, we've got this little teddy bear and this creepy sort of like, I don't know if he's like a dictator or some sort of evil dude, but this is interesting. Or like a family legacy. Vif China, Yon's green original name, but this is interesting. Do you think he uses nibs or technical pens? I would only be guessing. I mean, wouldn't he use like a G pen? Isn't that what they use? I don't think manga artists use Hunt 102s. I've never seen any videos of them using pens that look like that, especially now. But people would be more like 50 likes, 62 watching. We see you. That's right. So I'll have to check out Hiko Yoshida. I don't know that work, but yeah, someone here or come back to this video, and we can find out what he probably uses. People will know. I'm not much of a tool expert, and especially for other people's work. Wow, this is really cool. But it looks a little rougher of a nib. Let's see. Rich, you and Kelsey should do a tour of Hans Arnold without anything on him. It's horror, psychedelic, toony stuff. Oh, Bachlan? Like do a Bachlan video? Heavy metal. So the heavy metal story that I'm doing will be announced on January 11th. It's a 150 page comic book series. It's going to be, I think, 5 30-page books approximately, and they're going to announce it then. But it's got a pretty cushy schedule. I'm basically on the line for like 10 pages a month once we get going. But what was hard is I had to initially design everything and then lay out everything. And so going into it, there was several weeks of just basically like creating stuff, not even for the pages, but just it's like, what do these characters look like? None of it had ever been drawn before. So it was real time consuming, and it was just very, something that I had never done for someone else. So it's like you're not necessarily designing it for yourself as much as something that looks cool to you but will appeal to the people that you're working with. So it was just one of those things. It fell into my lap. It's a musician that I've been a fan of since I was a teenager, and everyone that I told that I grew up with was like, dude, you have to do it. So I agreed, and I think it's really fun. It's good. This is crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check out that artist. I'm curious. Oh, so there are the Maru nibs. Not sure how popular they are, but they are similar to 102s, maybe a bit more flexible. Yeah, okay. So, but yeah, I'll be back on Blaster Kid in probably 2.5 weeks, maybe 3 at the most. So, and then we're gonna launch the campaign in January. So it's coming very, very soon. Wow, this is great. This guy to me doesn't look like someone that's super fussy about his tools. Let me clarify what I mean by that. Is a lot of times you'll talk to artists and they'll be like, oh, my nib isn't sharp enough to do these fine lines. This doesn't look like real fussy art, meaning that the condition of his tools could be rough, meaning that like he might use a nib until it literally just breaks. If he uses a nib that potentially could break, or it's so dull that it's just unusable. So you never know with these artists. Like you buy a brand new G pen or Maru pen or whatever it is, and it may not really get this look because just he might be using old gunky ink, and you know what I mean. I just, like I said, I don't get the impression that this guy is super precious or fussy with the actual line quality. So, but it's still expertly done. It doesn't mean that he's complacent. Billy Plimpton live stream for the launch. Oh yeah, for sure. I'm gonna be going on every show. I'll be on YouTube 24 hours a day the whole time the Blaster Kid is pending. It'll be fun. I'm gonna need my vitamins. Oh, it's gonna be such a blast. It's a lot of work going into a crowdfunded book like that. It's like you really have to do your homework. I still don't feel fully prepared. I mean, in other ways, like I still need to talk to my accountant and figure out what's the most efficient way to do it. Because I'm considered like a freelance artist right now, but I think I should be an LLC. I don't know. I don't know. That's so out of my knowledge base. Someone will know, though. That's the thing. People know this. Bill Plimpton. I'm gonna have to check out Bill Plimpton's stuff. I don't know who that is. Okay, so it's noon. We're gonna start to wrap this up. We'll look at 3 more pages, and we'll find 3 really nice pages, though. So I got to get to work. Let me find a winner. Okay, that's cool. There's the bear. I'm gonna lighten this just the tiniest bit. So in theory, it may have been originally about this dark. Some of the scans are kind of dark. I don't know how this will read for you guys, but you can see a little bit more of the detail on the bike. But that is beautiful, right? Like, isn't that look gorgeous? Brilliant inks, yeah. The animated guy. Oh, I get it. That was a question. Yeah, with the scan lighter, it really does look better. Well, as we wind this down, I want to thank everyone for a really incredible 2020. It was a rough year, and I know that a lot of people out there suffered and had people in their family that got sick. I have friends that have lost parents from COVID. It's, not a time to really be to get too far out there and be like, oh, it was a great year for me, because it wasn't a great year for everyone. And so anyway, but I do want to thank all of you for hanging in there for a year of YouTube. It was a lot of fun. I think I learned a lot. There's a lot of growing pains with doing something like this. It's like, sometimes people are critical of the channel, and I agree with their criticisms. So it's like, I have to continue doing it, but I have to understand that there's room for improvement. And it falls on my shoulders. It's work. We have fun. This is a great little sequence. I love this panel. Durf. But yeah, so thank you for your feedback, because I do appreciate it. Any kind of feedback is always going to be uncomfortable for a person. I said this yesterday in my Patreon video. It's like, so far my heavy metal job, I've had no corrections, and they've liked everything that I've done. But inevitably, at some point, I'll probably draw a page, and there might be bounce back. They might go, hey, we don't really like how you designed this character, or this panel doesn't really work, or you didn't tell the story clearly. And those kind of moments sting, It's just how it goes. Okay, so let me get back into StreamYard. But, it is what it is, yo. Whoa, what did I do? There, now I'm back. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys so much. That was a long stream. My voice is actually fried from it. Put 2020 to rest and hello to 2021. Yeah, I think so too. It's going to be good. Fuck, man. 2020 was like, I would have never been able to get where I'm at right now without COVID. It didn't feel that way. There was something about the lockdown and everything becoming really dysfunctional. There was a window of opportunity for me. It sounds weird, but it's kind of true. I was able to make my break, because it's very difficult. You see this, because look, that there are inkers right now that are working in comic books that would love to be drawing. But the thing is inking alone doesn't make you a comic book penciler. It just doesn't. Of course, we can all draw to some extent, but can you take a script and draw a 150-page book or a 30-page book? It's not that easy. It's not like, the inking skill doesn't transfer into being able to read a story where it's like 14 guys ride up on horses and go into a saloon and the bar is packed and you have to draw the stuff. It just doesn't work that way. Sure, we can draw, you know, Batman's head from a side view. It's a whole nother fish to fry when you have to draw pages. But anyway, but the thing is that takes time. And the only way that you're going to have time is sometimes when something is super duper fucked up, you know. And look, my cat likes it. What are you doing? Say hi. But yeah, drawing comics is work. It is work, Kier. You know, Kier is actually very good. Honestly, if you guys are fans of art, you should follow Kier because he's really, really talented and he's a hard worker and he really puts a lot of effort into his pieces. But yeah, comics will challenge you. It'll challenge your spirit. It'll challenge your tenacity, and it's a lot. It's a lot to manage. So this is I'll go a few minutes longer and I can talk about this because it's interesting to me since I'm experiencing it right now. So as an inker, one thing that you never have to deal with is keeping track of everything that's going on. Like when I'm drawing this story for heavy metal, if 4 pages ago I had someone walk into an office and they're wearing a jacket and I just kind of made the jacket up at the time, it was like, all right, there's 6 people sitting around a desk. I need to draw 6 people. You know, 4 days later when I have to draw it again, and all of a sudden I'm like going like, what did this guy's jacket look like? And then I'm trying to find the art and I'm looking at the script. It's a lot to organize and orchestrate, and you really have to be on it. And it honestly, if you ever, like, I always say this, it's easy to be critical of comic book pencilers when you're not drawing. Like if you're just a fan and you're like, that guy sucks, or you know, you don't really have, you know, I keep using skin in the game, but like if you're not really drawing pages, it's one thing. But man, the second you start doing it, like all those pencilers that you're like, he's not that good, you start going like, you know what? He might not be that good, but he can do stuff better than I can right now. So it's an interesting transition. It'll be fun. I said to the patrons that one of my funnest years in comics and one of the most memorable years that I ever had was when I broke in at Wildstorm. And the reason being is that you're learning so much and everything is new and it's exciting and there's a lot of failures, but the successes mean more when you're fighting for it. You know what I mean? It's like you're in the trenches and it's a very memorable part of your career. And I'm getting to experience that again as a penciler. Yeah, good storytelling is hard. But yeah, isn't it? It's like it's funny because I'll see people do pinups and I'll go, yeah, it's nice, you know, he drew a guy in a mask and he's got a gun and he's squatting down and it looks like a good comic book drawing. But you know, the thing is I warn people, as good as you can be at that, 9 times out of 10 when you get a script, or even if you make up your own story, unless you just completely try to stay right with that thing, you're going to be asked to draw stuff that isn't normally is something you would draw, you know. It'll be some weird thing where it's like, yeah, you're going to draw Deadpool, but he has to go to the airport and pick someone up. So there's a sequence where he's driving an Uber and we need him in the car and the car is a mess and there's pizza on the front seat and he's got, you know, a beer on the dashboard and it spills in his lap. And it's like, all of a sudden you're going like, oh my God, I have to draw this? How the hell am I going to do that? So it's one of those things. You got to be ready. Get ready to get ready. So, all right, you guys have a very nice and fun New Year's. I'm curious of what people's plans are for New Year's. My mind thinks of things for a storyline that I don't normally see and can't find exact reference for. So I have to figure out how to draw it. It's kind of what I'm doing right now. Like I said, I'm almost, even when I need reference, I don't use it. It sounds bad, but I just really feel like that I have to flex those muscles right now. And then when I use reference down the road, like if I need to get like an accurate something or other, I'll just be more balanced. I think if I was constantly running to try to cross-reference things, I wouldn't be pushing myself as a creative artist, which is really what I want to be. You know, it's like, it's just one of those things. We'll see how it goes. I'll be completely, I know you always ask for Brett Booth. This is always you, right? The Art Jedi. I don't know Brett's work that well. It's the only reason I've been avoiding it is like I'm aware of Brett's stuff, but I don't know really how well I could break it down. So that's the honest truth, is I think Brett's really good, but I've never followed his work. So he's awesome though. He really draws well. It's funny because I follow him on Twitter and I'm always impressed by what he does. Yeah, it is always you. You have a YouTube channel? Why don't you do a video on Brett Booth? Oh, you always ask for Brett too? Yeah, I don't know his work that well. It was one of those things when I started collecting, you know, it's like you sort of max out a certain idea, and it was like I had Silvestri and I was J. Scott Campbell was getting better and better, and then I became a big fan of Travis, and I had Aaron Weisenfeld, and Brett just kind of fell through the cracks for me. I never really followed Scott Clark's work that closely either, and Scott and Brett are obviously two OGs from Wildstorm, but yeah, neither one of them really stayed on my like to-do list for extended periods of time. Like you have a podcast interview with Brett. Awesome. Like I said, I never really met Brett. And what's funny is Scott Clark and Brett, both of those guys, I literally think I met one time. And I was at Wildstorm for at least 3 years while they worked there. Every day I would go in and I never ever saw them there. I never ran into them. I remember talking to Brett one time in the pit. So it would had to have been within the first 3 months that I was at Wildstorm, and he came in one day and he talked to me for just a couple of seconds, and then I remember going down the elevator with Brett, and Brett I think is a little bit afraid of elevators. And I kind of remember that is that Wildstorm was only on the second floor, but yeah, I vaguely remember him not being a fan of elevators or earthquakes, one or the other. And then Scott Clark, I think I only met one time, you know. So all right, Happy New Year. I will do a video on Brett at some point. You know, in fact, I think I actually did. There's a video that's up on my channel right now that you can find that was I think I called it like Image Firsts or Wildstorm Firsts, and I go over Kindred #1 or Backlash #1. He's really good. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Brett is an excellent comic book penciler. So, all right, I'll talk to you guys later. Happy New Year, and I will get back to work. I'm going to have lunch and then get down to business. All right, talk to you guys later. It's so weird ending the podcast without Kelsey. Kelsey, where are you? Okay, bye. See ya. Take off your mask, Kelsey, wherever you are.